So today the talk is on entrepreneurship and starting companies. Who wants to start a company? Yeah, what do you want to do? Don't know? That's okay. What do you want to do?
Something with space.
Space? Yeah, time to get some money. What about you guys?
Something with solar panels.
Okay, good. Now, I don't know, space, solar panels, you got one more?
Well, I've always had this idea about a building where people, like homeless people, ride bikes and provide energy and they get a place to sleep. So you're making money with energy and they have a place to stay.
Awesome. So, of all of those ideas, Carly, your idea is definitely not being done currently, and if somebody's going to do it, it's going to have to be a new company that starts. But the solar project, the space project, and I don't know, those are all things you can do as an employee of another company. And so I like to talk to people about entrepreneurship and what it kind of involves and where it goes. So first, to get started, who thinks it's hard to start a company? Okay. What's hard about it?
Knowing like all the documentation and everything.
Okay. Documentation?
It's really risky. You probably feel uneasy starting it.
Sure.
Getting the money to start it.
Getting the money to start? Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, Nate.
Insurance.
Insurance? Okay. Although some companies don't need insurance. Okay, so those are all true. What I want to take off the table for you guys right now is the documentation part. So you're concerned? Let me show you how easy it was to start BlueStamp. So we started BlueStamp. BlueStamp LLC is incorporated in New York State, which is one of the two worst places to do business in this country. One's New York and the other is California. That also happens to be 50% of BlueStamp locations. But New York is obnoxious in their paperwork, and I'll show you why they're more obnoxious than everybody else, but this is the Articles of Incorporation. This is what we actually filled out to organize the business in New York. So you have the first, say what your name is, and then second, you have to say what your name is again, right? And then third, you have to say what county you're incorporating in, and then you have to give it an address and a person that they can reach if they want to sue you or whatever, right? So that is all you have to do. It. Look, you got to give your name again on page 3, and your address again, and then you have to give them money. We paid $225 to incorporate BlueStamp LLC, and that's in New York, which is more expensive. I'm sure here in Colorado it's much less expensive, and there's fewer pages. Can you believe that? Fewer than what I just did for BlueStamp? So that's the first thing. You have to stay to the state. Starting a company, paperwork-wise, is the equivalent of dibs. You guys remember playing dibs when you were in like 3rd grade? I got dibs on that? That's all you're doing. You're saying, I got dibs on BlueStamp LLC, the name. The company name in New York. Dibs. That's mine. That's all you're saying. You have a company. You fill this out, you pay $200, $225 because we want an expedited service, right? Because why not? $25. So $225 later, we have successfully called dibs on BlueStamp LLC, the name. Right? The next step is we had to go to the feds and say, hey, we called this name with the state, but in order to do business, like in order to open a bank account or in order to like have staff or pay people or do whatever with taxes, you need to have company's EIN, which is equivalent to a person's social security number. So anytime I make money personally, I have to give my social security number so they know, the government knows how to tax me. Same thing with a company. And you say, it takes about 10 minutes online, it's a little form, you click through, and you say, this is my name, this is my address, this is the state that I'm in, and they say, here's your number. And now you have an EIN. And you can take both of those pieces of paper to any bank and say, hi, I am BlueStamp LLC, I would like a bank account, please. And they'll sign you up with a bank account. And that's it. Yeah?
How long does that last?
Into perpetuity.
What?
into perpetuity. So BlueStamp still operates. We have to file paperwork every year, which is basically we have to file our taxes. So we have to say, hey, we made money, or hey, we didn't make money, and then we're good for another year. Yeah.
Like if you're never making money though, will they like?
No, you can not make money as a company for a long time. What they really hammer you on is if you make negative money. So let's say my wife, let's say she makes $50K a year or whatever, right? And my company makes negative $20,000 a year. They'll let me do, so basically our family has made $30,000, so we'll only get taxed for $30,000. They'll let you do that for like 2 or 3 years, and they're like, hey. You gotta cut this out. This business ain't happening until you can show a profit. We're not gonna let you keep eating away at your wife's income. So anyways, it's a tax issue. So they don't want you to arbitrarily start this company, make up expenses, and use that to turn down your tax bill. But other than that, you can keep running. And then the third thing that we had to do, because we're in New York, and New York is obnoxious, is New York says if you're starting an LLC, you need to advertise in a paper when you organize your business. And you need to say to the people who you are, where you are, and what you do. So we said, we filed our thing, this is our name. Gosh, we didn't put the name. Oh yeah, BlueStamp LLC. So you got the name, then because they charge you by the letter in newspapers. So the DSC LLC, this is where you can find us if you hate us, and our purpose is any lawful activity. I'm not kidding, we wrote that. We can do anything. If we wanted to be like, yeah, high school education is cool, but we're making cars next year. Totally okay. Right? That is how ridiculously easy it is, paperwork-wise, to start companies. So please don't feel like it's hard to do. You need a couple $100. I think in Colorado, I'd have to look it up. It's like 125, or maybe it's even under $100. But you file paperwork. You don't even have to do this advertising thing in Colorado. So you file the paperwork. You get an EIN. You get a bank account. You're off to the races. Yeah.
Is there an age restriction?
No. Yeah.
So you know how like this was in New York?
Yeah.
So with the one for BlueStamp in New York and BlueStamp in Colorado, you consider like different companies, or?
Yeah. So since we operate in different states, we are considered a foreign entity in Colorado. So you have basically what you have to do is so I had to go to Colorado and be like, this BlueStamp LLC in Colorado. By the way, we're also in New York, but I want it in both places. I mean, it was a one-page form.
So could someone else called dibs on BlueStamp in Colorado?
Not anymore.
Well, but like
Yeah, before, I mean, you run into trademark issues and stuff, but as far as like, if you want to go to like Arizona and do BlueStamp LLC, I mean, Arizona doesn't have to look at New York or Colorado. So they look around and be like, yeah, there's nobody there. Okay. And we've got the websites. Because Arizona doesn't care. States legislate their own, they manage their own state's commerce, and then the feds only get into it because of taxes. Yeah? So seriously, you guys could right now, tonight, start a company if you want. So don't worry about that. Never feel like, I mean, this country is awesome at making it so that you can start a company. They only start getting in your face when you start making money. So
stop making money.
Yeah, right? So that guy's making money. Kid. So this is all really easy. Let me tell you about how the situation went for me when I was like, I've had enough of this, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I was working at Keithley Instruments, who is probably one of the top companies in electrical measurement, industrial measurement equipment, electrical, like the DMMs that we would make. The cheapest one at the time, the cheapest product that Keithley sold at the time was $1,000. And it went up from there. And they had the coolest technology in measurement technology. It was the best. Not only that, they were paying me, they were putting money in my bank account directly every month. And not just like a little bit of money, like they were paying me well as an engineer to come in and use $1 million lab and build stuff. The only catch is they tell me what to build. That's it. but I'm kind of into this stuff anyway. So they're like, hey, build this circuit instead of this one. It's like, sweet, I can build that circuit. Like that's the gig that you sign up for when you go work for a company. It is awesome. Like being an engineer right now in this country is sweet. They pay you a bunch of money, they give you all the tools and money that you need in order to build stuff, and then you go build stuff. It's kind of like being in here, but with paychecks. Yeah? So it is an amazing life. And when I was sitting there, I realized that if I wanted to move forward in the company, I was going to have to pick. So in my job, I was doing design engineering, I was looking at manufacturing issues, I went to customer sites, I dealt with marketing occasionally, and I worked with purchasing. So basically my job was, hey, we have this design that's currently on the floor, it breaks, I would either have to redesign it so that it can continue to work, or find another part, or find another whatever, or work with marketing to change specs, or work with purchasing, find different solutions. Like basically I was all over the company, and it was always really exciting because anytime I was being called, it was because they couldn't make something, which means they can't make money, which always gets the attention. So it was a lot of fun working this job. But in order for me to move forward in the company, I had to pick, do I want to be a hard design engineer and design new products all the time? Do I want to be marketer? Do I want to go into the purchasing? Do I want to go into manufacturing? Like, what do I want to do back here? And that wasn't too appetizing for me. So I was like, well, maybe I should check out the startup that wants to hire me. So there I would be one of like 4 employees, and I would have to do whatever it took in order to release the product. So I left this company that had gobs of money in the bank and stable revenue, and they had been an employer for 50 years or whatever, and I was like, wow, that's a very content life. I could live this way forever. If I had a wife and 2 kids, I probably wouldn't even think about leaving. But at the time, I was like 25, and my only obligation was my boat. So I wasn't too into like you can sell boats. The rest of the obligations you can't ditch so easy. So I was like, well, let's take a risk. Let's go for it, right? So I went to work for this startup, and we did great. We were able to release the product. We did like, in 6 or 9 months or something, we released the product so that it could be manufactured, and they ran out of money. Hey, we can't pay you. Bye. Yeah. So, so I left that company because they couldn't pay you. And I started both. It was at that time Rob and I started BlueStamp, and I started Young Circuit Design, the consulting company that I run when I'm not doing BlueStamp. So now I have my consulting company where basically people who have an idea call me up and they're like, hey, we need a circuit to support our idea. Can you do it? And I figure out a way to do it. I get them set up with prototyping. Well, I usually do the prototyping. Test it with them, make sure it's exactly what they want, and then when they're ready, I get them set up with manufacturing. So that's cool because I get to do that for multiple clients at a time. So if any one of them runs out of money, it's like, well, I got these other 4, so at least I can eat. And then there's BlueStamp, where I get to teach all of you, bounce around the country, teach you a bunch of different people how to do what I think is the coolest thing in the world, which is awesome. What you guys don't know, since you're like year 5 BlueStamp operation, is the first year, it was Robin and I. You guys haven't met Robin, but he's the co-founder of BlueStamp. We started this company standing on a train platform in Connecticut. I was at a wedding of a friend, so he was in New York that weekend, so we came up and he visited Connecticut. We were standing on a train platform and we kind of conceived what this might look like. But it wasn't what this looked like at all. So like we started over here, and today we're here. I'm sure next year we'll be there, and you continue to grow. But we had this idea: why is it that education is so focused on like educating the masses? Why don't we give each individual student their own project and teach them what it's like to be an engineer? So get your project done and document it, videotape it, and release it, just like any engineer would do. So that was the idea. I'm sure you could imagine how challenging it is to take an idea that you think up on a train platform is, to then go to parents. Imagine if I came to your parents, BlueStamp didn't exist, we had a website that was awful. I made it myself on Saturday evening. And I go to one of your parents and be like, hey, I'm an engineer. I want to teach your kid how to be an engineer, and this is how we think it's going to go. No, we've never done it before. No, I'm not a teacher. No, I don't know any of that stuff. No, I don't know where we're going to hold this location yet. No, I don't know about that. Right? Can you imagine what your parents would say? Maybe one of you would be here if I had that as a sales pitch. Yeah, okay, there we go, I got one. Right? But who here would have their parents, who here for you would sign on to this crazy idea that me and another guy had? Yeah, maybe one. And that's really the challenge of entrepreneurship, at least what I've seen so far, and the same thing applies to my consulting business, is you're starting something totally new. You're trying to make a homeless shelter where you generate the power to deliver to people. So somebody's got to buy in. Somebody has to get on the bus with you. And the person that's going to be getting on the bus with you is going to be taking a significant risk. In the case of we had 10 students in New York. We worked really, really hard to get 10 students in New York. And I'll talk about how we got our first ones in a minute. But from the perspective of the student and the parent, we went up to them and we said, hey, we would like you to not only trust us with your kid in a lab environment with tons of tools, but we're going to charge you a bunch of money for it. Right? And that's what we're saying to them. We would like to try this. We didn't use it. You don't say we'd like to try this, but in our mind it was we'd like to try this. But this is what we're going to do. And you have to figure out a way to motivate the person that you're trying to work with to get on the bus with you with your idea. For us, it was getting parents and students to come. For somebody who wants to start a company involved with space, you need to get somebody to write a check. So you're going to need employees, you're going to need space, you're going to need technology, and you're not going to make money for probably 10, 20 years. I mean, how long has SpaceX been around? 10 years? More? Yeah, they're still bleeding ready, right? They still haven't made money. So you have to convince somebody of this vision that you've got, and then not only is it feasible, but you're the guy to take it there, you're the girl to take it there. And that, to me, is a real challenge that you face when you start companies. Filling out forms, you can do that drunk on a Saturday evening. I was sober when I filmed it out. But, I mean, you can do this so easily and so quickly, it's not even worth mentioning. It's harder to make your own business cards. What you want to think about is, how am I going to get my clients, or how am I going to get my customers, or how am I going to get my investors ready to get on the bus? So let's talk about how we did it. And I didn't know how to do any of this stuff. This is almost all Robbie. He was like, okay, so this is what we're going to do. We are going to make a list of all the high schools in the area. And we're going to call them. We're going to call the science teachers. We're going to call the principals. We're going to call the college admissions counselors. We're going to call all these people. And we're going to explain to them what we have. And we're going to ask to come in and give presentations about the program and about engineering. And some of you may have seen me come to your school, or Lauren come to your school, and give a similar presentation, right? Raise your hand if you saw it. Yeah, so a good number of you saw that. So that is how we started this company, by calling people. Now, the person that I have to get on the bus is a teacher. Hey, physics teacher, can you give me 15 minutes of your class time so that I can talk about this idea that I have? I mean, now they got to buy in by giving you 15 minutes of their time. How much teachers don't have that much time? I defend the time we have in here viciously. I'm sure physics teachers do the same. So now you're asking them, hey, can I get on board? And then once you have them on board, then you get in front of the students, you got to get them on board. And then once you have the students on board, you got to get their parents on board. It's the same thing when you're looking for money. If you're looking for money for your space company, it's like, hey, I've got this idea. So you go to your friends and family. Hey, I've got this idea. I need $100,000 to get it off the ground. That buys me 6 months of time where I can do my investigation, write my business plan, get some of the team collected up, get some of the other people I'm going to need to help me, get them signed on, and then with that money, I'm going to go and take my team, and then I'm going to go ask for buying from like a Series A round. And so then I'm going to ask for $1.5 million. And that's going to get me to this point. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to go to the Series B round, and I'm going to ask for 30 million or 60 million or 100 million or whatever. There's Series C, and some companies even have, I think LinkedIn has Series D, but whatever. But you have to continually get people into your idea and get people to buy in and give you what you need them to give you so that you can continue on. It's tough to do that, right? If you're trying to talk people into doing something that is either risky or costly to them, and rightfully so. If I came up to you and I was like, how much money you got? Can I have half of it so that I can start my company? It's like, yeah, I might fail, but it might be totally awesome. What do you think is the best way, what all entrepreneurs say all the time? What's the best way to get people on the bus trip? Any guesses? What do you want? What do you want to have?
Company to work. Company to succeed.
Yeah, that's what you want to have happen. But in order to pitch these people, there is one thing that so many entrepreneurs say all the time.
Prototype.
What's that?
Yeah, for working prototype.
Working prototype, that helps, but maybe not the most general case, right?
Is it money?
So money is what you're seeking. Paying your back is part of it. That's like recognizing that they want return, but they don't want to just be paid back. They want to be paid back 100 times. So your business plan better say in there how they're going to get their 100 times money. So if I give you 1,000, I want 100,000 back if this thing works. That's kind of the mindset that they've got. At least 10x. I want 10,000 back for every 1,000. The big thing that you want to go, or that I've seen everybody talk about, and that was certainly effective in getting BlueStamp started, is passion. If you don't have the passion, if you don't have the interest, it's hard to get other people to see things your way. So if you come in and you're talking to investors, you're talking to customers, you're talking to clients or whatever, and you're like, yeah, it'd be cool if we could do this, but you know, whatever, right? That sounds really different than me being my 26-year-old self, whatever, however old I was. Hey, education is missing a huge piece. I know how to teach that huge piece, and I love teaching. I've been a TA, I've done camp counseling, I've been a camp director, I've done lots of different things that shows me that not only do I have the interest, but I have the ability. And I want you to get on side with me, and I want you to give your students, your kids, an amazing experience. Because I'm passionate about getting these high school students educated in the way that I think is being missed in this country. And I have the ability. I have the knowledge, I have the ability, and we'll make this happen. Right? If you say those two things, they're very different. And so if you have a student or a parent or a teacher that needs to give buy-in for you to move your piece down the field, they're going to be much more likely to do that if they can see that, like, there's fire in your eyes, you're going to make it happen, even though there's going to be adversity or even though there's going to be challenges, you're going to rise to it and deliver. So I managed to talk for 30 minutes without even bringing up a business plan or talking about initial investment or initial customers in detail. But I want to cut this short because I don't want to take up too much of your build time. Are there any questions you guys have for me about starting companies, how BlueStamp started, how consulting companies started, whatever? Anything you want to know? Yeah?
Do you think that starting your career sort of in like an existing company helped you to start your own company?
Yeah, you know, I talked about this last week in New York, and they had that same question. It's like, when is the right time if like, okay, at some point I want to start a company. When is the right time to do that? And it's like, well, the best answer I can give to that is when you have the best opportunity. So, for me, I wouldn't be able to start a company right out of college because the value that I bring to the company is in some shape technical and heavily technical. Like a bunch of what I do here at BlueStamp is all very technical. And when we started the company, certainly what projects are reasonable, what projects are unreasonable, who's reasonable to hire, who's not reasonable to hire, stuff like that. I know that inside and out, and I know that inside and out because I've worked in industry for over 5 years before I started. Same thing with consulting. You can't start a consulting firm out of college unless you built a bunch of projects, unless you have a portfolio that looks good. So for me, it would have been a bad deal, 22 years old, starting a company. But that's because the opportunities that I can take advantage of are not, they're not what a 22-year-old is good at. What I can deliver is what a 26-year-old or a 30-year-old or a 35-year-old is good at. If I was instead starting a company that was, I don't know, funny t-shirt slogans, right? Then you're talking about needing stick-to-itiveness, perseverance, character, passion, interest. All of those things a 22-year-old can have in spades. So there are some 22-year-olds that are like, or even younger, that are like, forget it, I'm bailing on college and I'm going to start a company because this is what I want to do. And if they have the opportunity to do that, then I think that's great. So I guess it depends on the person, it depends on the company, and it depends on the opportunities that are available. There's one thing that I've noticed with a lot of other entrepreneurs that I've worked with or been around, and many people are like, I want to start a company, I want to start this company, and they kind of try and force it. And it's a tough balance to strike between perseverance, like this might not work, but the next thing might, or the next thing might, or the next thing might. And that's good, that's how you get where things are successful. Like certainly the way BlueStamp worked is like, the portfolio pages you have online, that was something we thought of week 3 of the first year. That was not something we offered anybody to start. But look at how valuable it is, right? The guest speakers was an afterthought. We didn't sell guest speakers when we were starting the program. So the perseverance there to get us to the point where we get started was super valuable because it put us in the position to grow it and make it better and better and better. But on the flip side, there's been people that have tried to start companies that even after bad news, bad news, bad news, they still try and force it. They're still, they're abandoning logic. And then it's really tough, especially if you're 22 because you're sitting there, you're not making any money, you're living in your parents' basement, eating ramens and beans all day. And if it looks like this thing ain't gonna go, it's just like, what are we gonna do? So it depends. It totally depends. And the other thing, the thing that's great about entrepreneurship is if somebody's like, that'll never work, their opinion matters exactly this much. If you work at a big company, and it's like, hey, I got this idea, we could make a bunch of money if we did this. And your boss is like, that'll never work, it's dead. Right? There's nothing you can do. Nothing. Right? He's like, no, that's not a valuable time. Go work on this thing. And we can make millions. No, go work on this thing. The only answer you can give to them is yes. Right? But when you're an entrepreneur, it's like, fine, then don't buy my product. Then don't send your kid to BlueStamp Engineering. Let me go talk to somebody that does want to send them to BlueStamp. And so the opportunity there to get your product off the ground or to get it moving is dictated by the market. It's not dictated by any one person or any central, like, hey, I'm telling you what to do. Any other questions? Anything else you guys want to talk about? Yeah.
How long should you keep working at a startup before you decide to abandon it because it's just no longer feasible money-wise?
Well, the easiest answer is if you run out of money.
Well, like what happened?
If you run out of money, what are you going to do? So then you have to, your choice is shut it down or start eating ramen again and try and raise more money in order to get it back off the ground. And it comes back to, is it a good idea or is it a bad idea? Nobody's opinion matters but your own. It's a danger that you quit too early, and it's a danger that you hang on too long. So if you're the one that's got the passion, and you're the one that's got the interest, and you're the one willing to eat ramen every day, hey, go for it. Prove everybody wrong. They said it couldn't happen. Let me show you it's going to happen. But then you've got to be happy with the situation. Well, not happy, but you got to understand that it might not work. Everybody else could have been right. And in 5 years, you've got a big ramen gut because you've been eating ramen and not exercising. You've been trying to raise your money, and you've been working 20-hour days, right? And you got nothing to show for it. That's the other side of it. Yeah?
What the heck is ramen?
Oh, ramen. It's the 25-cent packaged noodles.
Ah,
You get them on sale, they're like 10 cents per
okay,
package.
okay, I know what it is now.
All college bound students' best friend.
Yeah, really. I still keep a couple packages in my house, just in case.
Extremely salty.
Yeah, any other questions? Who's going to start a company? Who's going to start one in the night before they graduate college? I mean, you can try it. It's a good experience. And oftentimes it's cheap. The one nice thing about BlueStamp is, since we charge tuition up front, we don't have to get investment. So to buy all your parts and to buy all these tools and to pay all of our staff is an expensive proposition, but since we say, hey, if you want to save your spot in BlueStamp, you need to give us a $1,000 non-refundable deposit. That allows us to do all that ahead of time without having to spend all of our time going out and getting funding, because it would take a lot of money to get this off the ground. That's called bootstrapping, where you just figure it out on your own. You don't pay for your expensive consultants, you don't get investors to come in and take a piece of your company. Right, that's bad news. Well, not always. If it gets you to where you want to go, it's good. I don't want to take too much more of your time. Last chance for questions? We can talk more one-on-one, or I can bring up more stuff tomorrow. Yeah? Okay, cool. We'll get after your project. Thanks so much.